Okay, welcome Year 11 to your second video on the Germany revision plan. So if you open up your booklets and you turn it to session 2, today we are going to be looking at Weimar Germany 1918 to 23, and there's a little task to separate the Spartacists, the Freikorps and the Nazis, three extremist groups that you studied at various points in your course. And what we've got really is a really straightforward task, a load of statements and facts about one of these three groups, and all you've got to do is from memory which group is which. So all you're writing is a S for Spartacists, F for Freikorps, or N for Nazis in the column to identify which one actually represents which group. So for example, the German Workers' Party was set up in 1919 by Anton Drexler. Is this something which is the group or the German Workers' Party that becomes the Freikorps? Is it the Spartacists, or is it the Nazis? So from memory, complete that. Any that you don't know, leave blank for you to then to work through either in class or when your teacher collects it in and marks it. And then we've got some interpretation work for you to do. So first of all, you've got a question. Interpretation 1 and 2 give different views about the challenges facing the Weimar government in the years 1919 to 23. What is the difference between these views? You've got a short section here in which to write your answer. So just to be clear, when you're talking about this, what is the difference between the views? You are trying to find a quote from each and then explain in a sentence the difference between them. Okay, so this is about how they are different. You're not talking about why they are different, you're talking about how. So one of the things you want to do is completely ignore this with all interpretation questions. You're not using any of the attribution, the provenance of the interpretation. You're just focusing on the content that you're given. So how are these two views different? It might have a different focus or a different perspective, or they might be talking about different aspects of the reasons for the challenges facing the Weimar Republic. Then when you have done that, we've got a how far do you agree question. So this is the big essay, the 16 marker. How far do you agree with interpretation 2 about the challenges facing the Weimar Republic in the years 1919 to 23? So being clear that we're focusing on the challenge of the question. So you need to be finding out what view is given in interpretation 2. Then you're explaining using both interpretations and your knowledge of historical context. So what this should look like is a answer which deals with interpretation 2, and how far you agree. So I would start with an agree section and an agree paragraph. How far do you agree with the view given in interpretation 2? And you're going to do that by giving quotes from it of what its view is and supporting with knowledge or proving with knowledge. So showing how you agree with that interpretation because of the knowledge you've got about what it says. Then you're going to do your disagree side. So there might be parts of interpretation 2 you disagree with. Okay, and again you're going to quote and use knowledge. But the other thing you will do in your disagree paragraph, so you can see here, I've focused on an agree section and a disagree section, and both of them are dealing with evidence from interpretation 2. But what you can do in your disagree side, because the question says use both interpretations, is you can also quote interpretation 1 and then support it with knowledge. Now, it's really important in doing this question that what you don't do is turn it into which interpretation do I agree more with. You need to always focus your language on how far you agree or disagree with interpretation 2, but you can use interpretation 1 and quotes from it to show why you have that view, as long as you support that with knowledge. You've got a lot of paper to go at here to work through, so do what you can, have your best attempt at that. I would suggest that you want to try and get 2 sections or paragraphs on interpretation 2 and how you agree, and then 2 paragraphs and sections on interpretation 2 how you disagree, which will also use interpretation 1. So you want to be looking about a page and a bit on each of the agree and disagree sides, and then your conclusion overall. Okay, best of luck with that. Write out your answer as well as you can. Try not to look at your notes when you do it, but there is elements of skill and knowledge to do here. And also, it would be worthwhile, before you answer this question, looking back at your knowledge grid to make sure you know it, because some of this is going to be relevant in this question as well. That's where you're going to get the knowledge from. Best of luck, and hand that into your teacher for checking and marking.